Based is a term that originally started in rap music, I believe, but it's been taken on board by the online right in the last few years. And in essence, it means someone who expresses their opinions forthrightly and fearlessly, knowing that it may well upset some politically correct people, but they don't care. Now, terms like this speak to the strange era we've just lived through, where it's more rebellious to be traditional and conservative than it is to be left-wing and liberal. We've been hammered by the mainstream with weird types of gender, all sorts of degeneracy and annoying celebrities. Case in point, and do look away if you don't like flashing imagery, here's some clip from a French talent show where the guy who's missing an arm has a series of woke cliches behind him as if any of this is actually challenging. Of course, it's not challenging at all, it's just parroting every single tenet of the modern liberal ideal. Here's another example recently. Tom Hanks dressed up as a MAGA voter recently to make out all people who voted for Donald Trump are scared of black people and are worried even about shaking their hand. So edgy.
No. Oh, no. It's just a handshake. Yeah, it's just a handshake. Yeah, all right. You're welcome at Black Jeopardy anytime.
All right. Well, thank you, my brother. Maybe I'll start a show for you to come on, and we'll call it What Jeopardy?
No. We don't need it.
Gut-bustingly funny, isn't it? Here's more Trump-based comedy from ex-Doctor Who actor David Tennant at the recent BAFTAs.
A film about incredible architecture. In fact, it's the boldest architecture in film this year, apart from Donald Trump's hair in The Apprentice. Donald Trump, of course, he says he hasn't seen The Apprentice because it's a 15, it's not on Nickelodeon. See? Donald Trump. I'm worried, I've said his name 3 times. It's like Beetlejuice, I've summoned him. Talking of villains,
I mean, it'd be cheaper just to write F Donald Trump on a big screen and they can all clap along like the moronic seals they are. But the point I'm getting at here is nothing the mainstream offers is unique, none of it's challenging, none of it's edgy, none of it's artistic or soulful. It just has all the energy of a bossy finger-wagging, Guardian-reading HR lady. And this is why when someone comes along and says something against political correctness, it's edgy, it's funny, it's based, like this.
They say babies are not born racist. They become racist when they learn to read crime statistics. Once you learn pro capita, there's no going back.
Now that's funny, and doubly so, because it'll get an expression from the Guardianistas such as this.
How dare you!
Now, because things have been so crazy in the past few years, many people have got very popular for making based comments. But there's one key to make a based comment work, and that's that it must speak to a different worldview that's coherent and harmonious behind it. And I've started to notice in recent weeks and months that people are now making based comments just for the sake of it, just to be edgy, and I think we're starting to lose ourselves a bit there. Case in point is Andrew Tate. Now, as I've said many times on this channel, half of me can get what Andrew Tate's doing and really embraces him trying to give young men confidence and ambition. And I can understand why young men are drawn to him. He represents something edgy and it gives them a worldview outside of the BBC Guardianista worldview they've been brainwashed by. Now, Andrew Tate's made a career on based commentary and some of it's genuinely funny, starting with the light stuff. Here he is saying couscous is just gay rice. Here's Tate talking about depression, a topic he's got in trouble with on the past by poo-pooing it. He's saying that men have got to do something and fight back. He's saying it again. Here, take a good look at your day-to-day life, compare it to average people. You need to work hard, change your mindset and so on. Now this is classic Tate in a way. I mean, he's overlooking perhaps some of the nuances and complications of people with challenges and so on, but I also think he's speaking to a core wisdom there in a crude way. I mean, very often men do need a sense of challenge. They do need to feel that something matters. They do need to feel that they can fight back and actually make progress in the world, and I don't think we should diminish points like that. They should be welcome in the conversation in my view. But these are examples of Tate being edgy and based for good reason. You know, the couscous thing might be being too soft around language. The depression thing may well be having too much of a feminine approach which wallows in the depression. But there are times where he starts to veer off, and his based and edgy commentary doesn't really carry that same weight because it speaks to a sort of egocentric narcissism. This is in reference to Elon Musk having another kid out of wedlock. He says everyone's mad at the man for saving America for having another child. He will pay for as immigrants who invaded you don't have endless children out of wedlock that taxpayers pay for. Welcome to the real world. People have sex, dumb losers. And we're in a grey area now because a lot of people who follow Elon Musk and Andrew Tate will be conservative, right-leaning. They will believe in marriage and the family, families being united so children can have a safe and stable upbringing. But Tate doesn't tend to think in those collective societal terms. He thinks more in individualistic terms, as stated here. If your woman leaves you for having sex with other women, she doesn't love you. This has never happened to me. Imagine a woman leaving for cheating. Absolutely unreal how down bad you dudes are. So he's just openly advocating cheating and womanising there. Of course, if you play that out society-wide and everyone cheats on each other, then the whole society becomes a complete mess. But again, Tate doesn't really think in those terms. But Tate also has an odd tendency to go back on himself and start promoting traditional values when he looks at the state of the West. He recently started a political party with his brother called BRUV. That stands for Britain Restoring Underlying Values. But what values can a half African American Muslim who lives in Romania teach British people? Cheat on your wife, betray your family and break down the fabric of society. In essence, the whole thing is incoherent as it is in this tweet. These conserva bros are mad trad women are not really conservative, laugh, laugh, laugh. All women all want money and power. They'll sleep with the blackest black African warlord if it makes her the queen of some BS tribe. She will abandon the Bible and worship the Tutu god. Now at the root of this, there is a very harsh red pill truth in there somewhere that Tate is riffing on. That's the idea that a lot of women aren't loyal, and you're going to have to learn that as a man growing up in today's world. It can be very brutal if you believe the liberal line. You'll get very hurt believing that. However, he's of course taking it all too far and doing something he tends to do quite a lot, which is racifying things. He likes to emasculate whites for some reason. Here's another quote of his. When I sleep with white girls, they all tell me how much they love N-word male appendage. Then I see their Instagram a few years later after I stop replying. It's Bible quotes and some white guy holding her hand on their wedding day. No women are trad, none. Now to me, statements like this are needlessly cruel, and I don't really understand the point he's trying to make. Just don't trust any women to think that all white women crave a black man. But there may be a dimension here about Tate's life experience, and perhaps he has some insecurities about being mixed race, therefore wants to think that all women really crave him, and maybe his life experience backs that up. I mean, his mother married an African-American man, and I dare say he's bedded plenty of white Eastern European women and so on. So of course it's being based, but for no real reason. I mean, what's anyone learning from this apart from let's embrace a world of total degeneracy and nihilism? Just as a side note, Lord Miles recently posted an interesting study based on US Census data that stated white women are actually the least likely group to date outside of their race. But I don't think that's going to stop the Tate Meister. He posted this the other day in celebration of his several baby mamas.
How many children do you have?
23, 22 baby mother. Real bad man.
Yeah, real degenerate more like, and an attitude that sums up why so many communities in the African diaspora are in such a hellish mess. But here's Andrew telling his 10 million followers that wedlock is designed to control the peasantry and that kings, I guess like him, must reproduce at any cost. Here he is again. The word racist has cooked the white man into surrendering their lands and women. The word racist has turned a large majority of whites into traitors. The white in me feels bad for you. The N-word in me is riding around with white women in Lambos. Yeah, again, that odd racial emasculation that comes up a lot. He also states you'll be outbred, you'll be out-violenced, you'll be cooked by words, you'll be betrayed by your own kind, and I'm not your enemy for pointing this out, I'm actually your brown friend. Yeah, I'm not quite sure he's our friend with this sort of degenerate behaviour. It seems like he's got quite a big chip on his shoulder as well about being mixed race. Of course, in the Christian West, the model is, broadly speaking, that one man and one woman try and pair off and have children to raise them in a stable and safe unit. It also organises society by meaning lots of people aren't sleeping with each other and undermining the sincerity and integrity of the unique families. This offers economic, social and spiritual stability to a given nation and a given peoples. It was liberalism, of course, that ripped that structure apart. It went anti-tradition, it became a focus on the individual and their pleasure, and now we're reaping the results. The results are, ironically enough, people like Andrew Tate. As much as he barks back at the liberal system, he's ultimately a product of it. But to offset all this degeneracy, he goes back to his "I'm donating a load of money, I'm a great person, anyone who criticises me is a hater." That's like a pop rap term, I think, for any criticism is just rooted in someone's jealousy because I've got money. But the point I'm getting at here is that Tate's edgy and base comments don't point back to some rich and important truths that we need in our lives, some rich tradition like Christianity or even Islam that he's supposed to be part of. It's more a self-centered, nihilistic, Nietzschean style will to power to be the ultimate Ubermensch. And so what this ultimately is just pre-woke, self-centered, individualist materialism. That's not really going to do any of us any favours in the long run. It could also point to a new cultural phenomena where we're in the post-woke world now, where instead we get lots of slop, all rooted around ideas that Tate is professing. It's supposed to be against the system, but in reality, it's just refeeding it from another angle. However, this sort of thing is to be expected in a time of decline, and it's also necessary for a state of rebirth. That's what I'm talking a lot about on the Substack at the moment. Do join down below. Also, to join the free call. On Saturday, I've got going on all about the cell transformation, the group work that I'm holding, and so on. Do let me know your thoughts about all this down below. Do consider subscribing to the channel if you're new too.